Welcome to BuffaloPlus.com as well as Buffalo Plus on YouTube. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I'm Jenna Cottrell. The NFL season schedule is set to be released this upcoming week. Mike, what are your expectations about the Bills and how their season will be looking this year?
Well, let's start with this. The NFL is putting it out 17 weeks. Everything's going to look like we're all in normal land, but we know we're not. Okay. So they're going to put this out there and then adjust accordingly. And I know you read the article too. Sports Illustrated had something really interesting about doing the games with the other conference early in the year. Because if we have to push everything back and you're going to shorten the schedule for whatever reason, games you want to get rid of first would be the games, say, for the Bills against the NFC. That kind of makes sense. And then more conference games and division games later in the year. But hey, their NFC schedule is pretty good. I mean, they're playing the Rams, they're playing the Seahawks, they're playing the Cardinals. Right. So they have some pretty good games that we could see early, and maybe it pushes back the games with New England and Miami and the Jets and even the Steelers, those games to later in the year.
Yeah, Mike, the only thing they've really announced as of right now is that they're not going to go to Mexico City and that they're not going to go to Europe. That's pretty much, but like you said, besides that, the NFL still has their foot on the gas pedal saying that we are going to play games. They're expecting to have them with fans, and that they really – I'm sure they have a plan B, but they're still playing this game to the media and to the country of everything's fine. Plan A is going to go full steam ahead.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like the NFL. All right, now the fact that there's going to be some great matchups this year, like Mike mentioned, Seattle, of course. There's the Chiefs, Arizona, playing against Tennessee again. Dan, do you think that means more primetime games for the Bills?
I think they have to get at least 2 or 3 primetime games this year. Look, they were the only team last year that wasn't scheduled to have a night game. And, you know, it's very shocking. They ended up getting flexed into the Pittsburgh game. But you look at the ratings from the Pittsburgh game, you look at the ratings from the Cowboys game on Thanksgiving, massive ratings. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, all of a sudden, you know, Tremaine Edmonds, an up-and-coming young player. They're starting to have pieces that make them marketable for these networks and for primetime slots. Look, Sean McDermott may not be as exciting as some of the other head coaches or as well known, but they're starting to get the players that earn it. What was that look for, Mike?
You don't think Sean's exciting? Come on. He is. Hey, look, winning is exciting. I will say this. It's still about the other team with the Bills. And don't get mad at me, Bills Mafia. Josh Allen was good. He's exciting. But there are certain quarterbacks, you just throw them out there, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, right? It's about them. And there are certain teams that have that. The Dallas Cowboys, Pittsburgh Steelers, New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles, because they're big markets and teams.
Cowboys. I think you forgot the Cowboys, Mike.
I did say Dak Prescott. No, maybe I didn't. I don't know. Dallas Cowboys, I think they're one of those teams. Look, even Thanksgiving was that way. Thanksgiving was the Cowboys game, and, it happens to be they're playing the Bills. And then the Bills showed up, kicked their butt, played great. Allen was good. So that helps them towards this year. I think the Bills are still in that middle part. Look, Cleveland Browns burned the NFL, right? Because they gave them some primetime games. Yeah. And they were bad, and Baker wasn't what people thought. And, you know, because you could argue that the Bills and the Browns are similar franchises in that way with long histories but bad recent times. But I think they're going to get those games. And, again, it might be 2 scheduled and maybe a third. And let's face it, the biggest game is Sunday night. The second biggest game is Thursday night. And the poor, stepchild, we'll say, is that Monday night game, who, by the way, I think the 3 of us are doing that game, right? Because ESPN has not come up with a crew to do the games yet. So
that's it.
We'll see going forward. But even that, we could be playing these primetime games with no fans.
I was about to say, so for Bills Mafia, I feel like it seems so typical for the fact that the Bills to actually get primetime games. And then there's the possibility that no fans will be able to go. That just that seems so
wrong.
Fitting. But it seems so fitting in like the worst way possible.
And I think that's something that like still needs to be addressed, is that like I think we all believe that there will be an NFL season. I'm not so sure there will be fans in this season. And especially, you know, the NBA and the NHL are still holding out hopes they will end this season at some point. And what they're trying to do in theory is push the start of the next season back as far as possible, so that when the next season starts, they'll be able to have fans whenever that season starts. They don't want to just have the next season start right on time because, look, these are all leagues. They need to make money. They make money from putting fans in the stands. So it's very interesting how the NFL as of right now is going to try and do everything they can to put fans in the stands. I just don't know safety-wise if we're going to be there yet.
Well, number one, it's a TV product. They want the games. They want the games played. They want eyeballs on TV. But you guys know, we all traveled last year to these games, Dan, Nashville, all those Bills fans going, and look at the schedule. The Steelers, the Browns, all those games. Look at the schedule they had this year, right?
3 West Coast trips.
San Francisco, Vegas, Arizona, Nashville again, back down. Now, obviously, Miami and Foxborough and all those other places. Look at what they did in Jersey last year with the 2 games down there. Where it was all those Bills fans. That might be out the window this year, and it might be. And it's a shame, and we all know that atmosphere too. But I think it's going to be a new reality. You're going to start watching games. It's going to seem – look, it's still going to be the NFL, but Jenna, but it's going to be so different.
But I can't even picture an NFL game without fans. That does not compute in my head. I understand the circumstances are extremely dire and very different than any other circumstances, but just the feed off the crowd is so huge. Momentum is real, all of those things. And to not have that.
It changes the game. Obviously the home field advantage basically goes away because you're just on a turf, you're in a field. I guess weather could still be a factor, but even that, I mean, there's no fans. Think about all the things you normally worry about on the road with crowd noise. You know, you got to do the snap and everything, right?
It's like hear the quarterback just.
You can
You can probably hear him.
You can hear him. I mean, we have seen examples of this. I ran some video tonight on the newscast where there was obviously, Jenna, you ran it too last week, the Orioles game where they couldn't have any fans. And it's strange. And then there was a hockey game in North Carolina in the AHL where there was a snowstorm. They played the game, but there was nobody. You could hear the skates. I mean, you could hear it going that way. And they've played these, world-class level soccer matches in Europe and in Russia, obviously, and there's no fans.
And the other thing, too, Mike, it's funny, too, you talked about hearing the skates, kind of cut through the ice. I think you'll also hear some choice language if we have everything so quiet. I think you're going to hear a little bit of that in the NFL. I think you'd hear that in the NHL. I just can't imagine getting a third down stop and Trey White firing up nobody.
No one.
Yeah.
Again, it was the one thing we talked about earlier was that, when this whole thing was going down, that golf could probably be the sport that comes back because unless it's Tiger making a run on the back nine at Augusta or a major tournament, it really just doesn't have all that much of an impact. But Jenna, you are completely right. Crowd in that element is just such a huge part of NFL games.
Well, you mentioned golf, and what's a golfer do? Until the ball's in the hole, usually is when they celebrate because they have to keep their emotions more in check. On a fairway, maybe you get a little bit of a fist pump if it's a great shot, but even that is pretty rare. It's mostly until it goes in the hole because then you can breathe a little bit. But you don't play football that way. It's a game of emotion. You don't play basketball.
Even first downs.
Yeah.
Even first downs, it's, pumping up the crowd. There's so many opportunities, and I think that's one of the things that makes going to a football game so exciting is there's so many chances to cheer. But I don't know. Now the league did come out today and say that they're going to. Oh, what's up, Dan?
No, I was saying it was interesting. They did re-air the Cowboys game from Monday night a few years ago when Tony Romo and they had the comeback against the Drown team. But it was interesting because even after the game, they talked to Tony Romo right after the game, and all he could kind of mumble out was just how insane the crowd was.
Yeah.
Was just that and what McDermott has built here, they've earned the right, as we've talked about, to get primetime games. And like Jenna says, I go back to it. You're so right. It seems wrong. It seems unfair. And in that same way, exactly like you said, almost fitting.
But you know what you got to do? You got to rationalize. Or the whole world's a big rationalization. So if we say it's terrible to have games with no fans, and then like a parent saying to the kid, well, how about this? How about we have no games at all? Because that's what we're comparing it to. If you compare it to what a normal game is, we all love it. We're all there. You guys are on the sideline shooting the games.
Yeah. You're in the press box.
Yes, but at least there I get that view. By the way, you talked about that game. So the game with the Bills and the Cowboys, and there hadn't been a Monday night game. And let me tell you, you talk about a crowd. I was outside doing a radio event beforehand and then going back in the stadium. That was a celebratory crowd pregame. It was a bit ugly outside the Ralph that day. And then at the game, Romo was so bad in that game. He basically handed the game to the Bills, and they still couldn't beat him. And it was T.O., that's my quarterback, who ended up helping the Cowboys win. The Bills that was so classic Bills to choke that game away, that level Bills team. But it was fun to have that back, that atmosphere of the night game. So I don't know. It's still only May, and the NFL will go full bore on this, Jenna, but it's going to be strange.
I know. This season, hopefully there's football, though, and everything that
Korean
comes with
baseball
it.
league is back, so we're good.
Yeah. Are you
let
going to
me
be
tell you
gambling on that?
One other thing to keep in mind. We talk about these colleges. I think these conferences and college football are going to go rogue. I think the SEC is going to plan on a schedule. They'll figure out a way to do it. They won't care what the NCAA says. They'll bring their players back. Players will probably sign waivers to play. And the SEC will say, what do we care about the Pac-12 or the ACC? We don't care.
Yeah.
We're going to play our own schedule. I'm telling you, they'll find a way to play football one way or the other.
That would be interesting to see, for sure. All right, well, for Dan Faith, Mike Catalana, I'm Jenna Cottrell. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube page, buffaloplus.com.
We're adding a lot of subscribers, and a lot of them comment.
We
so that's
have
great.
been. It's been very exciting. Yeah, comments. If there's anything you want us to cover as well, reach out in the comments section. Thanks for watching. Stay healthy.